The great chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of species sat in their seats, watching the small blue figure standing alone in the center of the room. Ambassador Cora felt very small. Her people, the Delphians, were not warriors. They were scientists, artists, and dreamers. And now they were dying. "Please," Cora said, her voice shaking. "The Valnorian Empire has attacked our border colonies. 50,000 of my people are dead. They burn our cities. They kill our children. We cannot fight them alone." The council members looked at each other. Some showed pity. Others showed nothing at all. War between species was common in the galaxy. The strong ate the weak. This was the way of things. High Elder Morath sat on the highest seat. He was ancient, his gray skin covered with deep lines. His species had helped create this council thousands of years ago. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had seen species born and species die. Very little surprised him anymore. "The Valnorian Empire is powerful," said a council member from the Thrasian delegation. "What do you expect us to do? Fight them for you?" "We expect justice," Cora said. "We expect protection. Is that not why this council exists?" Laughter came from several sections. The Valnorian ambassador, a tall creature with sharp teeth and red eyes, smiled widely. "Your people are weak, Ambassador. You have no military. You spent your resources on art and music, while we built warships. This is the natural result." Cora felt tears forming in her eyes, but she held them back. She would not cry in front of these monsters. "There must be someone who can help us," she said quietly. "Someone who can stop this." The chamber fell silent again. But this time, the silence was different. It was heavy, uncomfortable. Several older council members shifted in their seats. They looked at each other with worried eyes. High Elder Morath slowly stood up. His old bones made soft cracking sounds. He walked to a small platform where an ancient book rested under protective glass. This book was older than most species in the room. It contained the original laws of the Galactic Council, written when the galaxy was young and wild. "There is someone," Morath said, his voice low and serious, "but we cannot ask them." He opened the book to a specific page. The words glowed with old light. "Directive 7, he read aloud. "Written 300 years ago by this council. Under no circumstances shall any species involve humans in interstellar conflicts. Under no circumstances shall any species attack human vessels, colonies, or citizens. Under no circumstances shall any species attempt to use humans as weapons of war." Young council members looked confused. Some even laughed. "Humans," said the Thrasian representative. "The traders? The cargo ship people. You are worried about them?" More laughter filled the chamber. Everyone knew humans. They were everywhere in the galaxy, running trade routes, selling goods, fixing ships. They were friendly. They smiled a lot. They told jokes. They seemed completely harmless. "They sell us food and entertainment," the Valnorian ambassador said with a cruel smile. "They are merchants. Nothing more. Why would we ever fear merchants?" Morath closed the book slowly. His old eyes looked around the room, and the laughter died. There was something in his gaze that made even the proudest warriors feel cold. "You do not remember," he said softly. "You are young. Your species rose after the humans went quiet. You know them only as friends and traders." "We remember what they were before. What were they?" a young counselor asked. Morath did not answer immediately. He walked back to his seat and sat down heavily. For a long moment, he stared at nothing, lost in memories that still gave him nightmares. 300 years ago, he finally said, there was a species called the Kreth. They were powerful. They had the largest military in the galaxy. They feared nothing and no one. The chamber was completely silent now. The Kreth found a small human colony on the edge of explored space. 40,000 humans lived there, families, children. The Kreth decided these humans were living on land they wanted, so they destroyed the colony. Every man, every woman, every child, they killed them all and laughed about it. Morith's hands trembled slightly. We thought humans would cry. We thought they would beg for help. We thought they would accept their loss and move on, as weaker species do. He looked up. We were wrong. What did they do? Cora asked. They did not ask for help. They did not cry. They simply changed. The friendly traders put away their smiles. The cargo ships were modified. Hidden weapons appeared. Ships we did not even know existed came out of the darkness between stars. Marath took a deep breath. The humans hunted the Kreth. Not just their military. Everything. Every ship. Every station. Every colony. For 10 years they hunted. They did not stop. They did not rest. They showed no mercy. And the Kreth. Someone asked, There are no Kreth, Morith said simply. Not anymore. Not a single one. The humans erased them from existence. Then they came to this council. They were polite. They smiled. They said they did not want to be monsters. They asked us to never involve them in war again, so they would never become what they had become. We agreed. We wrote Directive 7, and for 300 years humans have been peaceful traders. He looked directly at Cora. But they did not forget how to fight. They chose not to fight. There is a difference. If anyone forces them to remember what they are capable of. He did not finish the sentence. The Velnorian ambassador laughed nervously. Old stories to scare children. Nothing more. Morith did not argue. He simply looked at the ambassador with something like pity. I pray you never learn the truth, he said. Cora left the chamber that night with no help and no hope. The council would not act. The Velnorians would continue their slaughter. Her people would die. But as she walked through the dark corridors of the station, she thought about the humans, the friendly traders, the smiling merchants, and she wondered if the old stories were true. She had nothing left to lose. Perhaps it was time to find out. Trade Station Horizon floated at the edge of Delphian space like a small moon made of metal and light. It was a human station, one of hundreds scattered across the galaxy. Ships came and went at all hours, carrying food, medicine, entertainment, and technology to every corner of known space. The humans who ran it were always busy, always smiling, always happy to make a deal. Ambassador Cora arrived on a small transport ship hiding her identity. If the Galactic Council knew she was here, they would be furious. Directive 7 existed for a reason, they would say. Do not involve the humans. Do not wake the sleeping giant. But Cora had seen the reports from her homeworld. The Velnorian fleet was growing closer. They had already destroyed 3 more colonies. They were testing a new weapon, something terrible. She could not sit and watch her people die. She found the ship she was looking for in Docking Bay 17. It was called the Swift Wind, a medium-sized cargo vessel with old paint and new engines. The captain was a human woman named Yuna, known throughout the sector as fair, honest, and clever. Yuna was standing outside her ship, checking cargo containers with a small computer in her hand. She was not tall, but she moved with quiet confidence. Her dark hair was tied back, and her eyes were sharp and watchful. Captain Yuna, Cora said, approaching carefully. Yuna looked up. That's me. You need something shipped? I need to speak with you, privately, please. Something in Cora's voice made Yuna pause. She studied the Delphian ambassador for a long moment, then nodded. Come inside. The interior of the Swift Wind was warm and comfortable. A young man sat at a computer terminal, his fingers moving quickly across holographic screens. He looked up when they entered. This is my brother Day, Yuna said. He handles our technical systems. And that serious-looking man over there is Heian, my first officer? Heian nodded politely from across the room. He had calm eyes and a careful way of moving. Now, Yuna said, sitting down. What does a Delphian ambassador want with a cargo captain? Cora was surprised. You know who I am? I know most things that happen in this sector. It's good for business, Yuna smiled slightly. I also know your people are in trouble. The Velnorians are not kind neighbors. Cora felt hope rise in her chest. Then you understand why I am here. I need help. My people need help. The Galactic Council will do nothing. The Velnorians have a new weapon. They plan to use it on our homeworld. Millions will die. Day stopped typing. Hyun stood up straighter. Even the ship itself seemed to grow quiet. You want us to fight for you? Yuna said. It was not a question. I want you to help us. Evacuate civilians. Provide supplies. Anything. I am begging you. Yuna shook her head slowly. Do you know why humans stay out of wars, Ambassador? Directive 7. The Galactic Council, not the Council. U.S. We stay out because we choose to. 300 years ago, we did something terrible. Necessary, maybe, but terrible. We decided never to do it again. We became traitors, helpers, friends. We built a new identity. Korra felt tears threatening again. So you will do nothing? You will watch children burn. Yuna's face showed pain. Real pain. She was not a cold person. She cared. But she also understood the weight of history. Day suddenly spoke. Yuna, you need to see this. He projected a holographic display into the air. It showed intercepted Velnorian communications, military codes that Day had somehow broken. The messages were clear. The Velnorian fleet was carrying biological weapons. They planned to release a plague on Delphia Prime that would kill every living thing on the planet. Not just soldiers, everyone. The room was silent for a long moment. They're going to kill everyone, Day said quietly. Every Delphian in existence, the whole species. Yan stepped forward. Captain, if we act, we break 300 years of peace. Other humans will be affected. There could be consequences for all our people, I know, Yuna said. But if we don't act, Hyun continued, we watch genocide happen. We let it happen. Yuna stood up and walked to a window. Outside, stars filled the darkness. Somewhere out there, millions of innocent people waited to die. My grandmother told me stories, she said softly, about what we were, what we did to the Kreth. She said we became monsters to stop monsters. She said the hardest part wasn't the fighting. It was stopping, choosing to be kind again, choosing to be human again. She turned back to face the others. I won't start a war. I won't conquer anyone. I won't become what we were. Her eyes grew hard. But I will not stand by while innocents are slaughtered. That is not who I am. That is not who we are. She walked to a communication panel and opened a channel, a special frequency that reached across the entire galaxy to every human ship, station, and colony. This is Captain Yuna of the Swift Wind, she said. I am sending coordinates and information. Something terrible is about to happen. Innocent people are going to die. I cannot force anyone to act. I can only ask. If you believe in protecting the helpless, if you believe in standing against evil, meet me at these coordinates. Bring whatever you have. Bring whoever will come. She paused. It's time to remember who we are. She closed the channel and looked at Korra. I don't know if anyone will come, she said honestly. Humans have been peaceful for a long time. Many will want to stay that way. Korra took Yuna's hands in her own. Thank you. Whatever happens, thank you. Yuna smiled. But there was something sad in it. Don't thank me yet. You asked humans for help. You might not like what happens when we give it. Day looked up from his computer. Yuna, you're getting responses. Lots of them. Across the galaxy, human ships were changing course. Old soldiers were putting on old uniforms. Hidden weapons were being uncovered. The giant was waking up. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Velnorian fleet continued toward Delphia Prime, completely unaware of what was coming for them. They came from every corner of the galaxy. Cargo ships with hidden weapons, mining vessels with reinforced hulls, old warships that had been sleeping in quiet corners of human space for 300 years, transport carriers, scout ships, even a few personal yachts with surprisingly powerful engines. Yuna watched them arrive at the meeting point. A quiet region of empty space between star systems. Every hour, more ships appeared. First dozens, then hundreds. She had expected maybe 20 or 30 volunteers. She had not expected this. 84 ships, Day reported from his station. Still counting? Who are all these people? Cora asked, standing beside Yuna on the bridge. Everyone, Hien said quietly. Traders, miners, retired soldiers, engineers, farmers who learned to fly, humans from every planet and station in the galaxy. A new signal came through. A large vessel dropped out of hyperspace, bigger and more dangerous looking than anything else in the growing fleet. Its hull was dark gray, covered with weapon systems that looked old but well maintained. That's the Unyielding, Day said, with surprise in his voice. An Earth defense battleship. They were all supposed to be destroyed after the Treaty of Silence. Someone kept one, Yuna said. The communication system activated. A woman's face appeared on screen. She was older than Yuna, with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. Her uniform was simple, but clean. Captain Yuna, the woman said. I am Commander Nari. I was told you needed help, Commander. I didn't know there were any warships left. Nari smiled slightly. There were a few of us who thought complete disarmament was unwise. We kept some things hidden, just in case. She looked around the gathered fleet through her ship's sensors. It seems we were right. An old man's voice joined the channel. Commander Nari. I served under you 40 years ago. This is Wu from the mining ship Rock Crusher. Wu, you're still alive? I thought you retired to grow vegetables. I did, but vegetables can wait. Some things are more important. More voices joined. Old friends reuniting. Strangers introducing themselves. Young people meeting legends they had only heard about in stories. The human fleet was not a military organization. It was a family gathering. But beneath the warm greetings, there was something else. A cold determination. These were people who had chosen peace, who had never forgotten how to fight. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chamber, panic was spreading. How many ships? Hi, Elder, Morath asked, his voice calm but his eyes showing fear. 84 confirmed, the intelligence officer reported. Possibly more still arriving. They are gathering near Delphian space. The council members were shouting over each other. Some demanded action. Others demanded that everyone stay calm and do nothing. The Velnorian ambassador had already left the chamber, sending urgent warnings to his fleet. Morath raised his hand for silence. The chamber slowly quieted. Send a message to all species, he said. Do not engage the human fleet. Do not interfere with their movements. Do not provoke them in any way. What about the Velnorians? Someone asked. Morath looked tired. Send them the same warning, and pray they are wise enough to listen. They were not. General Torvac stood on the bridge of his flagship, the pride of Velnor, and laughed when he read the council's message. He was the supreme commander of the Velnorian military, the conqueror of 12 worlds, the most feared warrior in his species' history, humans. He said to his officers, The Galactic Council is afraid of humans? This is their great warning? General, one of his advisors, said carefully, Perhaps we should be cautious. The old records speak of old records or old stories, Torvac interrupted. Written by cowards to scare children. I have seen humans. They trade cloth and food. They fix engines. They tell jokes and play music. They are soft, weak, harmless. But General, the fleet 84 ships against 2,000. If they want to die, I will happily kill them. But they will not fight. They will run when they see our power. He gave orders to continue toward Delphia Prime. The biological weapons were ready. The plan was simple. They would release the plague, kill every Delphian, and take the planet for the Empire. Anyone who tried to stop them would be destroyed. The Velnorian fleet moved like a great shadow through space. 2,000 warships carrying death and destruction on the Unyielding. Commander Nari gathered the human captains for a final meeting. Holograms filled the bridge as leaders from every ship joined the discussion.
Oh.
The Velnorians have received our warning, Yuna reported. They have ignored it. They are continuing toward Delphia Prime. Their weapons? Nari asked. Day pulled up his data. Biological agents. Designed to kill all Delphian life within hours of release. If they reach the planet, millions will die. So we stop them. Like we stopped the Kreth. No, Yuna said firmly. Not like the Kreth. We are not we protect. We defend. We do not commit genocide, even against those who would commit it against others. Nari nodded approvingly. Agreed. We stop their fleet. We destroy their weapons. We save the Delphians. Then we go home. And if they don't surrender? A young captain asked. They will, Nari said. Or they will die. But we give them the choice. That is what makes us different from monsters. The fleet began to move. 84 ships against 2,000. The numbers were laughable. Any military strategist would call it suicide. But these were humans. They had different mathematics. Yuna sent one final transmission to the Velnorian fleet. It was short and simple. This is Captain Yuna of the Human Coalition. You are carrying weapons of genocide. You intend to murder millions of innocent people. We are giving you one chance. Turn around. Leave Delphi in space. Destroy your biological weapons. If you do not, we will stop you. General Torvak received the message and smiled his cruel smile. They threaten us? 80 ships against 2,000? He laughed loudly. Tell the fleet to prepare for battle. We will crush these merchants and then finish our mission. On the swift wind, Wu sat next to Yuna on the bridge. He was old and tired, but his hands were steady on the controls. They really don't know, do they? He said quietly. No, Yuna replied. They have no idea. They think we forgot how to fight. They think 300 years of peace made us weak. Yuna watched the stars ahead. Somewhere in that darkness, 2,000 enemy ships were waiting. We chose to be kind, she said. That doesn't mean we forgot how to be dangerous. It means we learned when to be both. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace. The battle for Delphia Prime was about to begin. The Velnorian fleet hung in space like a wall of death. 2,000 ships, arranged in perfect battle formation, their weapons aimed at the small blue planet below. Delphia Prime, home to 60 million innocent people, who did not know they were about to die. General Torvak stood on his bridge, watching the planet rotate slowly beneath him. In a few hours, it would be a graveyard. His name would be remembered forever as the conqueror who destroyed an entire species. Glory, power, victory, General, an officer said. The human fleet has arrived. What? Torvak smiled. How many? 84 ships, sir. They have positioned themselves between our fleet and the planet. 84. Torvak laughed. Against 2,000. They are brave. I will give them that. Also stupid. He activated the fleet-wide communication. All ships prepare for battle. Destroy the human fleet. Leave none alive. Then we complete our mission. 2,000 Velnorian warships began to move forward, their weapons charging with deadly energy. On the swift wind, Yuna watched the enemy approach. Beside her, Day worked frantically at his computer, and Hyun stood ready at the tactical station. They're coming, Hyun said calmly. Full attack formation. I see them, Yuna replied. Commander Nari, are we ready? Nari's voice came through the communication system. All ships report ready. Waiting for your signal, Captain. Yuna took a deep breath. This was it. 300 years of peace were about to end.
I'll remember who we are, she said to the fleet.
We protect the innocent. We fight with honor. We give mercy to those who surrender. She paused. But we do not lose. Begin. What happened next would be studied by military scholars for centuries. They would watch the recordings again and again, trying to understand how it was possible. Most would fail. The Velnorian fleet expected the humans to fight like other species. Form lines. Exchange fire. Push and retreat. War as they knew it. The humans did not fight like other species. The 84 human ships scattered in an instant, moving in patterns that seemed random but were perfectly coordinated. They did not form lines. They flowed like water, appearing where they were not expected. Vanishing before the enemy could respond, Day launched his first attack, but it was not a weapon. It was information. a virus he had written in a single afternoon designed to infiltrate Velnorian communication systems. Within minutes, the enemy fleet could not talk to each other. Captains screamed orders that no one heard. Ships crashed into each other while trying to find targets that were no longer there. Commander Nari led the unyielding straight into the heart of the Velnorian formation. Old weapons that had been silent for 3 centuries roared back to life. Every shot hit its target. Every movement was perfect. The battleship danced through enemy fire like it was nothing, destroying ship after ship after ship. Wu flew his mining vessel like it was a fighter craft, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. His old hands remembered movements from 40 years ago. His ship responded like an extension of his body. A young pilot named Sung was flying escort for a convoy of Delphian refugee ships. When 3 Velnorian cruisers broke through the main battle line and headed for the refugees, Sung did not hesitate. He pushed his small ship to maximum speed and flew directly at the lead cruiser. "What is he doing?" Heian shouted. Sung's ship hit the cruiser's engine section at full speed. The explosion was massive, destroying the cruiser and damaging the other 2 ships so badly they could not continue. At the last moment, just before impact, Sung's emergency escape pod launched into space. Day reported, locking on to the pod's signal. "He's alive." The battle continued for 3 hours, but it was really over after the first 30 minutes. The Velnorians had expected a fight. What they got was a lesson. Human ships worked together in ways that seemed impossible. When one attacked, others supported without needing orders. When one was in danger, others appeared to help. They shared information instantly, adapted to every situation, and never, ever made the same mistake twice. General Torvak watched his fleet die around him. Ship after ship disappeared from his tactical display. His mighty armada was being torn apart by a force less than 1/20th its size. He whispered, "How is this possible?" His flagship shook as explosions rocked the hull. Warning alarms screamed. Officers ran in panic. "General, we must retreat." His advisor shouted. Before Torvak could respond, the bridge doors exploded inward. Human soldiers poured through the smoke, moving with terrifying speed and precision. At their head was Commander Nari, her face calm and her weapons steady. "General Torvak," she said, "you are under arrest for attempted genocide. Order your remaining ships to surrender." Torvak reached for his weapon. Nari shot it out of his hand before he could touch it. "I will ask once more," she said, her voice like ice. "Surrender. Now." Torvak looked at the destruction around him. His bridge was filled with human soldiers. His fleet was in ruins. His dreams of glory were ashes. He surrendered. The order went out to what remained of the Velnorian fleet. Stop fighting. Power down weapons. Prepare to be boarded. The battle was over. When the final count came in, the results were staggering. The Velnorians had lost over 800 ships. More than half their remaining fleet was too damaged to fight. Thousands of Velnorian soldiers were dead or captured. The humans had lost 2 ships. 14 people were injured. No one had died. Yuna stood on the bridge of the swift wind, looking at the battlefield. Broken Velnorian ships floated in the darkness, surrounded by the small, quick shapes of human vessels. "It's over," Heian said quietly. "The battle is over," Yuna agreed. "But not the war." Not yet. She opened a communication channel that broadcast to the entire galaxy. Every species, every planet, every station heard her words. "This is Captain Yuna of the Human Coalition. Today, the Velnorian Empire attempted to commit genocide against the Delphian people. They carried biological weapons designed to kill millions of innocent civilians. We stopped them." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We did not want this fight. We chose peace 300 years ago. We built a new life as friends and helpers to all species. But some things cannot be allowed. Some evils cannot be ignored. When the innocent are threatened with extinction, we will act." Her voice grew harder. "Let every civilization hear this clearly. We are humans. We are your friends, your trading partners, your neighbors. We will help you build. We will help you grow. We will share our food and our technology and our laughter with anyone who asks." She took a breath. "But if you harm the innocent, if you try to destroy those who cannot defend themselves, we will come for you. And you will learn why our ancestors wrote Directive 7. You will learn why the galaxy once feared us. You will learn that our kindness is a choice, not a weakness." She ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, species who had laughed at humans fell silent. Leaders who had dismissed them as harmless merchants looked at each other with new understanding. And somewhere, in the council chamber, High Elder Marath closed his eyes and remembered the old days. The humans had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same again. 1 month passed after the Battle of Delphia Prime. In that time, the galaxy had changed forever. The Velnorian Empire collapsed. Their government fell. Their military was broken. Their leaders faced trials for war crimes. The species that had terrorized dozens of worlds for centuries was now quiet and afraid, and everyone was talking about the humans. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Every species sent their highest representatives. The chamber was more crowded than it had been in 100 years. They all came for the same reason. They wanted to understand what had happened. They wanted to know what the humans would do next. High Elder Moreth sat in his usual place, looking older than ever. He had lived long enough to see history repeat itself. He hoped he would live long enough to see it end peacefully. The great doors of the chamber opened. Captain Yuna walked in, accompanied by Commander Nari Day and Haon. They wore simple clothes, not military uniforms. They carried no weapons. They looked like what they had always claimed to be. Ordinary people, merchants, travelers, friends. But no one in the chamber was fooled anymore. Yuna walked to the center of the room and stood where Ambassador Cora had stood 1 month ago, begging for help that would not come. "Thank you for inviting me," she said. Her voice was calm and friendly, just like any human trader making a deal. "Thank you for coming," Morath replied. "The council has many questions. I will answer what I can." The questions came quickly. What did the humans want? Would they demand territory? Resources? Power? Would they take revenge on species that had wronged them in the past? Would they build a new empire? Yuna answered each question with patience. "We want nothing. We have no interest in territory or power. We will not seek revenge. We have no desire to rule anyone." "Then what was this?" a counselor demanded. "What was the purpose of your attack?" "It was not an attack," Yuna said. "It was a rescue. Innocent people were going to die. We saved them. Now we will go home." The chamber buzzed with confused whispers. This was not how powerful species behaved. When you had strength, you used it. When you won a war, you took the rewards. A young counselor stood up. He was new to the chamber, from a species that had risen long after the humans had gone quiet. He had grown up believing humans were friendly traders and nothing more. "I must ask," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "Everyone speaks of Directive 7. Everyone speaks of the old days. But no one will tell us the full truth. What did humans do? Why does this directive exist?" The chamber fell silent. Everyone looked at Morith. The old elder sighed deeply. He had hoped this question would not be asked. He had hoped the mystery would be enough to keep people cautious. But perhaps it was time for the truth. 312 years ago, he began, there was a species called the Kreth. It told the story properly this time. Every detail. The Kreth had been conquerors like the Velnorians. They had built the largest military in the galaxy. They had crushed every species they encountered. When they found a small human colony on the edge of known space, they saw easy prey. 40,000 humans. Families with children, farmers and teachers and artists. The Kreth killed them all and broadcast the images across the galaxy as a warning to others. "We expected humans to grieve," Morith said, "to beg for help, to accept their weakness and hide. This is what other species did." He paused. The humans did not grieve. They did not beg. They met in a great gathering and made a decision together. They would not let this happen again. Ever. To anyone. Morith closed his eyes, remembering. Our ships changed overnight. Hidden weapons appeared. Engines that should not have existed, powered vessels that should not have been possible. Humans we had known as peaceful merchants became soldiers. Not angry soldiers. Not wild or emotional. Cold, focused, determined. They attacked the Kreth, the young counselor guessed. They did more than attack. They hunted. Everywhere the Kreth fled, humans followed. Every base, every station, every colony. The Kreth tried to surrender. The humans accepted their surrender. Then they found evidence that Kreth military leaders were hiding, planning revenge. So they continued hunting for how long? 10 years. When they were finished, there were no Kreth left, not one. An entire species with a history of 50,000 years was gone, erased, as if they had never existed. The chamber was absolutely silent. Then they came to us, Morith continued. They were polite, friendly. They smiled and spoke softly. They said they did not want to be what they had become. They asked us to write a law that would keep them separate from galactic conflicts. They said if we did this, they would become peaceful again. And you agreed, Una said. She had known the story, but hearing it told by someone who had been there was different. We agreed, Morith confirmed. What choice did we have? We had seen what they could do. We wrote Directive 7. We told every species to leave humans alone. And for 300 years, it worked. He looked at Una. Till now. Una nodded slowly. We broke our own rule. We chose to act when we had promised to stay silent. I understand if the council is angry. Angry? Morath almost laughed. Captain, we are not angry. We are grateful. And terrified. You saved the Delphians. You stopped a genocide. You showed mercy to your enemies, something the old humans might not have done. He leaned forward. But you also reminded the galaxy what you are capable of. That is not something we will forget. Una stepped forward, looking around the chamber at all the frightened faces. 300 years ago, we made a choice. We chose to be kind, to be helpful, to be friends instead of conquerors. We meant it. We still mean it. Her voice was gentle but firm. We do not want your fear. We do not want your obedience. We want to trade with you, work with you, laugh with you, and help you when you need help. She paused. But we will not pretend to be weak. We are not weak. We choose peace because peace is better than war. We choose kindness because kindness is better than cruelty. These are choices. Choices we make every day. Choices we will continue to make. Her eyes grew serious. But if you hurt innocent people, if you try to destroy those who cannot defend themselves, we will choose differently, and you will not like what we choose. Morith stood slowly. Then let us write a new directive, one that reflects what we have learned. He walked to the ancient book and opened it to a fresh page. Directive 7 is now amended, he announced. Do not involve humans in your conflicts. Do not harm innocent people in their presence. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. Do not test their patience. And remember, always, that they choose to be your friends. It would be wise to let them keep making that choice. He looked at Una. Is this acceptable? Una smiled. A real, warm, human smile. It is. She bowed politely and turned to leave. Her crew fell in behind her. At the doors, she paused and looked back. We are going home now, she said. Back to our trade routes and cargo ships. Back to selling food and fixing engines and telling jokes. Back to being friends. She walked out of the chamber. Morith sat back down, feeling very tired and very old. What happens now? The young counselor asked. Morath watched the doors close behind the humans. Now we remember this lesson. We teach our children. We write it in our histories. And we pray that no one is ever foolish enough to forget it again. Far away, the swift wind jumped to hyperspace. Una sat in the captain's chair, Day at his computers, Heon at his station. Everything was back to normal. Just a cargo ship flying through the stars? Where to now? Day asked. Yuna thought for a moment. There's a station near the outer rim that needs medical supplies. Let's start there, Day smiled. Back to being merchants? Back to being merchants? Yoon looked out at the stars streaming past. Until next time? Yuna's smile faded slightly. I hope there is no next time. I hope we can be kind forever. She sighed. But if someone forgets, if someone threatens innocent lives again? She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. The swift wind flew on through the darkness. A simple cargo ship carrying simple traders. Friendly, harmless, helpful, and very, very dangerous.